that shouldn't be on there. The only other comment I had is on the qualification section. It says, please read the attached position description for the position of. Do we have position descriptions? On the qualification section, it says, please read the attached position description.
Of the position.
Yes. So in other words, if you're going to hire somebody for a certain area, do we have position descriptions for all of the jobs? If we don't, it's not a big deal. You just come up with one each time you go to hire somebody.
That's normally what we do.
Yeah. So you'll just have to come up with a position description saying, okay, this is the qualifications. Yeah.
Usually they had a whole list of things, you know, that pertain to maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, and I told our daughters this, anything anybody really wants to know about you anymore, they can't ask. So I said, when you go into an interview, tell them all the things they want to ask, but they really can't. You know, are you married? Are you single? Do you have kids? Do you want to broach your religion? You know, go ahead. Because they can't ask you those things, but everybody wants to know it. So volunteer those things because it makes you stand out. So, but no, that other than those two things, you know, the Social Security definitely out. Boy, it's a. I guess any more telephone numbers, you can find them out on the internet if you want some of these things anyway. So, any questions on that? Otherwise, I think it looks fine. Who came up with this?
I think it was either Jon Swanson or Carl.
No, it looks.
Carlin set it up because there have been a lot of questions
Yeah.
from different counties on the property.
No, it looks very good, but like I said, my opinion is I would not put the Social Security number under. If you hire the person, yeah, then you can get it, and you can get date of birth once you hire them. But the problem with putting it on there is you just open yourself up for age discrimination claim.
Well, I'm gonna find out why he left that on there, because I know before we've always been told no, you know.
Yeah. COBRA plan for spouses of retired employees. Did you guys get this memo that we got from the plan administrator?
This one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already got a copy.
Yeah. It looks like, at least to them, the law is pretty clear that the spouse of a retiree gets benefits that the retiree is not entitled to. And I don't think there's any doubt about that. I can tell you the reason why. If anybody wants to know.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
What they're afraid of is spouse goes off, or employee goes off, spouse can't get insurance, spouse now gets injured, spouse goes on Title 19, so the federal government ends up, and the state government ends up picking up the bill for it. At least if they can throw them back onto Mitchell County's insurance, Mitchell County gets stuck in the bill. So what they're trying to do is get people to stay on insurance so they don't have to pay the bill. That's the reason for it. But I mean, it just seems strange that a spouse and children have more benefits than the retiree. That just doesn't sound right. And they read it differently than I do. I read it 36 months from date of retirement. They read it 36 months from coverage event, which would be death, termination of insurance, or things like that. So
you're saying this really hasn't been challenged yet?
well, I haven't looked it up. When I read the code, I read it as saying 36 months from termination. They say it's 36 months from qualifying event. And a qualifying event would be death or when the employee stops taking insurance, not when he terminates employment. So we're just going to have to look at it on a case-by-case basis and say, okay, this person retired, now what? The short answer is they can stay on insurance until they're Medicare eligible. Then once they go off, it looks like their spouse can stay on another 36 months.
Can we require, okay, right, that's, we're talking about a husband and spouse right now who are on insurance
Mhm.
when the employee retires, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can we require that a spouse be on a certain length of time to be able to stay on? Or can, that the law is pretty specific about that?
It just says if when they retire, the retiree and the spouse are on coverage.
Can the county require that an employee's spouse be on the county's insurance? Because see, like, where my wife works, I cannot be on that insurance. There's no way I can get on it. If I'm offered medical coverage where I work, then you're not eligible to be on coverage where my spouse works.
I don't know if that's legal or not. I mean, they could have a policy that says that, but I'm not so sure that's legal. I don't know the answer to that.
Not even a secondary?
I don't think they can do that, but
Well, that's,
off the top of my head, I don't think they can do
they're a private employer, I suppose they can do whatever they want. They're not, well,
It's discriminatory, that's the problem, because if they offer it to one employee, they have to offer the same coverage to every employee.
Well,
So
you
if they're
also-
offering it to somebody else, they have to offer it to her.
and also, they also, if you use tobacco products, you pay more for your insurance.
I think that they can do.
Okay. Well, that's something we need to look at. I'm just wondering. Well, can the kids get on then too? And we suddenly become,
Well, if they're under age 26 or under,
right.
yeah.
Well, it'd be a family,
Mhm.
Well, if
and
you
they
only
don't
live-
designate what,
if you only live to
what
52,
family
you're
is.
on for half your life.
What's that? I didn't catch that.
If you live to 52, you're on for half your life.
Yeah. We don't have to like it, I'm just telling you what the law is. And like I always tell people, you can holler and scream and complain all you want, but that's not gonna change what the law is. Right now, the law says you have to allow spouse an additional 36 months.
Well, as long as they're paying, I guess, whatever.
motion,
Pardon?
should really do a motion on that.
I don't know if there's any motion on that, I mean, it's just, the law is what the law is.
Well, that's what it is, I guess.
We'll follow the law.
So, tell this employee to go, that's 36 more months after.
After the one retires,
Mhm.
after they die or discontinue coverage because they become Medicare eligible. So as long as they're less than 3 years younger, they're gonna be able to maintain coverage through the county the entire time.
Charge them a bigger rate.
No, if it's a group plan, everybody.
Yeah, I know.
You know, when we had that trailer catch on fire,
Mhm.
and I had talked to Mary Jo Wilhelm about trying to get a law changed, and she said that she called you on that subject, and you must have told her that there wasn't anything they could do to.
No.
Hmm.
It's kinda like the Supreme Court saying, you make all the laws you want, and, you know, right now you can't keep steel wheels off the road based upon the old law. And you can change the law, Supreme Court's just not gonna pay any attention to it. So there really is no law on res ipsa loquitur. I mean, that's just it's kinda like negligence. You know, all civil suits really are based on just common law. They're not based on statutory law. You know, common sense, ordinary care. So there's really nothing you statutorily can do, unless you start creating strict liability, but how do you create, I mean, how often is that gonna happen?
Just
You
curious.
yeah, you create strict liabilities when nails catch on fire and damage a road, you know, I mean, how often is that gonna happen? Once every, now it'll happen even this spring. But no, there's really no law change that can be made.
Okay. Just curious. I have nothing else.
I had just talked to Barb the other day, and I think this is correct. If not, Lowell, you can correct me right there, it's Barb. I thought confinement down in juvenile detention center was about $80 or $85 a day. I think she said she got a bill, and it's 120,
25.
125.
125 a day. Wish there was something we could do about it, but right now there isn't.
Well, we're members down there, otherwise it'd be $175 a day.
I mean, it is what it is, it's just,
Be a long
Somehow
time.
I'm over to keep him there.
you tell me, we're supposed to have a hearing Monday, and that got continued to Friday, this Friday. We're supposed to have a hearing next Monday, which is kind of a big hearing, but the other attorney says he needs at least a 60-day continuance, to which I'm going to object and say, listen, I'm not going to object to a reasonable continuance, but we just can't afford to pay $125 a day for an additional 60 days, because that moves everything back 60 days. So,
Well, where do you really see this thing as a timeline? Any idea at all?
that's gonna depend a lot on the defense, I can't say defense attorney, on the child's attorney, and on how fast the judge wants to move it through. I mean, it could be 2 or 3 months, it could be a year and a half. I mean, I'm a taxpayer too, so I wanna push it through as quickly as possible, but I can only push so much. And the last thing you want to happen is to push too hard and the guy wants continuance and the judge won't give it to him, and so you try the case and then the Supreme Court reverses saying, try it again because you should have given him as much time as he needed to get ready for trial. So, wish I had better news, but I don't.
So in other words, the kid has to stay basically at the facility in Blackhawk until the courts.
No. There is a provision in the Iowa code that says if we get him waived as a youthful offender, then upon application to the court can, but it doesn't have to, the court can transfer him to the county jail if the jail has been certified to house minors. And Kurt and I have already been in discussion about that, and our jail has been certified to house minors. So hopefully the way it proceeds out is we have the waiver hearing, he gets waived, at which point in time we file a motion to have him transferred from there to jail. Now, whether the court's gonna do that or not, because they're gonna say, at least at the detention facility, there's educational options available, they can go to class, they can do those type of things, where you're not gonna have any of those at the jail. The court will make the determination. I mean, and this is a terrible thing to say, quite frankly, if it wasn't costing us $125 a day, I probably wouldn't be so much of a hurry to get transferred, because realistically, it's probably better where they could be at least going to school, rather than sitting in a jail cell 24 hours a day, or 23 hours a day. But the $125 a day figure does enter into my mind. I mean, it's a factor.
Well, do they have school then down at this facility all year round, or is it?
I don't know the answer. I know he's attending classes now.
That's why they go to that facility, isn't it? Because they get those, the state says you have to go to school, you know.
Well, also because it's a secure facility.
Right.
It's not, you don't.
So is our jail.
And I suppose there's some way we could make educational opportunities available. I just don't know how that would be. CDs and a television.
Correspondence course.
Yeah, I mean, realistic.
I don't have any more. I don't have
Anything else for the greater good?
Not right now.
Okay. I got that 25-page document from Kathy last night that I skimmed but not looked at with a whole lot of detail.
I think she's gonna be in, she's gonna be in today.
9:30.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
on the
thanks,
waiving
Mark.
On the waiving of readings, we waive the first and second, and go to the third, or waive the,
I say you waive the first and second and go immediately to the third. Other people say you just have the first and waive the second and third. I don't think it matters. It just says you can waive 2 readings.
so let's waive the first and third and go to the second.
That you can't do. But that's only on anything that requires a public hearing. I mean, that's, so,
Well, that's what this is,
on what?
urban renewal.
Oh, on the urban renewal. Yeah, you can waive first and second, go immediately to the third, in my opinion. And
Yeah,
it
that's
goes
what
with
Sound like
always done.
ordinance.
Yeah. Okay? All right.
Thanks, Mark.
You bet.
Rich, I didn't think you were gonna be here
Well,
today.
I thought maybe I should try to explain the email a little bit that I sent you.
Right.
It kinda gets confusing. Did you get that? I made copies. You guys
I'll
get
take
copies?
one.
I'll
I
give you
just
copies.
did one.
My program didn't show very well. It's gonna be the same thing other than I added,
Oh, yeah.
explanation for whatever. Nothing's changed other than it's kind of explaining a little bit what happened in the budget. So we need to have our DOT budget turned in by Sunday, which means we need to look at it today. And the one thing I noticed when I was going through the budget is we had an error on our fiscal year 11 receipts. When I was getting stuff from Barb and we were getting all this receipt money in, I inadvertently added property tax in twice. Once as TIF and once as property tax. Doesn't really affect anything, but maybe a potential carryover balance is lower than what it was. On the additional stuff that you see in front of you, we had, fiscal year 12 construction increase needs to go from $2.5 million in the DOT budget to 3.7 because of project payment carryover from one fiscal year to the other, just depending on where we were at during construction. We try to anticipate how much projects getting carried over from one fiscal year to the other. It's a guess. This is where it needs to be now. It's explained there as far as that's the reason that one needs to go. We've talked about that before. My 4X items, which is construction maintenance. Now, the snow removal items that we had a savings on this year doesn't show up in the same category in the DOT budget as does the brush cutting. So while we have to increase that item because of the brush cutting we went over, in the long run, the money's saved in the other category, but according to the DOT, we can't run 10% over one category. So that's where I'm asking to go from 1.26 to 1.4 because we had the increased brush control, we have that bridge we're putting in on Windfall or those culverts, and then we did pave through Stacyville, and that's a maintenance item we didn't really plan for right away. So the new equipment, the truck payments, now the county budget has an item in there for principal and interest payments, and that the DOT doesn't, so I'm trying to figure out, Jim helped me on this budget last time, so I don't know where that money got stuck, but that's the only reason we need to increase that one up from 97,000 to 150,000 was the truck payments and then some other items. So, and then on the engineering side, we had an increase in bridge inspections this year, so we wanted to make sure we had that item covered. So on your second sheets there, that's the amended fiscal year 12 budget, version 1. And all that one shows right now are the ones we just discussed where I had the revenues changed and then all these other items changed in the categories. It's going to be in that, the item that was changed is in the third column, the actual from July 2010 to July 2011. Down in the TIF area, that one got reduced. The miscellaneous receipts got reduced and that was 2.566868. It was 3.7 something, but that was the additional doubling of the property tax. So that item got changed there. And then in the next column over fiscal year 11 and 12, I've already added the changes that I told you about here as far as the on the expense side. So what I discussed on this handwritten sheet is already changed in this amendment 1. I haven't submitted it yet pending the approval of you guys, but I just wanted you guys to be able to see the changes and then be able to follow through on the amendment side of it. And then I think the construction budget was next, we need to discuss that. So if you go over there to fiscal year 13, then I've got our original budget that we did for the county. I didn't change any numbers from the county budget to the DOT budget, so it's basically parallel to what you guys approved for the county. Those numbers are the same. But this amendment gets me in good standings with the DOT again as far as that 10% overrun. And it's all about the categories that it involves. On the construction projects, the construction program side, I added, I believe that the 2 timber bridges can be put into the BROS funding. I put the one that was closed into fiscal year 13, hopefully maybe we can still sneak that in to a construction project yet. And then the other one that was reduced down to 5 tons, I put in fiscal year 14. There might be a way to juggle things around yet. If we want to have a discussion, we certainly can. In addition, I don't have on here, and I need to talk to Howard County, but we have that cost share on that bridge they want to take out and put a box culvert in the county line, which they're going to use farm to market funds on, and I don't have that in here. I have to talk to him about what the project number is and whatnot. So otherwise, we could use local funds too, but we're talking anywhere from
50,000?
50 to 75,000. So yeah, it kind of stinks, but we are still responsible for part of the payments, and
Yep.
and so I think we can do it locally too. I mean, when you think about, we just got to be kind of careful of where we're spending the money. So I can put it in the program and use farm to market. It just might push some other projects, or it might extend our borrow ahead on farm to market a little bit. But I know it was hard to read an email and try to see how it was explained, but I hope that's why I wanted to be here, to kind of explain it better, because just through an email it doesn't always make a whole lot of sense until you can actually hear why the things are changed. So with that, it's a matter of you guys in consensus to agree to what the changes are, and then I can go ahead and submit them to the DOT this week. If you guys have any questions, you can certainly go ahead and ask them.
Well, I think we should have a motion that
Yeah.
should.
Yes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the DOT budget
Can you say the budget and program?
and program. Roll call vote, Walk.
Aye.
Bullfinder?
Aye.
Morel, aye. Motion carried.
Our pipe are coming today. We got the crane today. They got all 3 trucks delivering today. The pipe will be in, and then we'll work on welding the ends up, and
2 or 3?
3.
3.
Yep. So we got, it was perfect that they coordinated. They called Friday and said they were going to be coming in this week, and when everybody got back to work on yesterday, we found out they were all 3 coming. Jim got a hold of the crane operator, and it was by luck that he was available today, so we can unload and swing them in.
They got the old one tore out and everything?
Yeah, that was tore out last week already, so we were getting prepped, ready to go, so we could try to make it as efficient as possible. And as luck would have it, it's gonna work out. So,
As long as it don't rain, the creek don't rise, you're in good shape.
I can just wait and do it when I see it. Yeah, so, it'll take us the rest of the week to kind of do the backfilling and squaring things up, and hopefully by the end of next week, things will be opened up. So,
Right to the supervisor's meeting, because I thought I was running a little late.
so, otherwise we got some guys out doing some road maintenance, and I couldn't find that hole, Stan. I drove all over that area, and I think somebody went with a four-wheeler and filled it in. I couldn't find it, and I think I was on the right bridge, and I could see four-wheeler tracks, and somebody must have drugged some material to cover it up.
Okay.
I drove 3 square mile area to find the right one, I couldn't, so. Any questions?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well,
Can we have a 2-minute recess? I want to send a card with.
Yeah, go ahead.